Hey everyone, welcome. I am back with part 3 of our series that I've been doing on self-sabotage. So if you ever feel like you sabotage yourself when you're wanting to lose weight and you're trying to eat healthy and exercise and make all these healthy changes, then this video is for you. So like I said, this is part 3. It's our final video in this series on self-sabotage. So if you missed parts 1 or 2, it's okay. You can keep watching part 3 and then you'll be able to go back and catch up on parts 1 and 2 when we're finished here. So if you're looking for the previous videos, they are in the Clean and Mindful Eating group. So if you just scroll down a little bit, you should be able to find them. Or if you just want to type in the comments part 1 or part 2 for whichever video you're looking for, then I will be sure to get you the link so that you can catch up on the videos that you missed. So I have been doing this series because I think one of the most common things I hear from women is that they feel like they know what they need to do to lose weight, but they're just not doing it. They don't feel like they're consistent with their eating habits, with exercising, with making the changes that they want to make. And because of that, because they don't do what they know they should be doing, because they're not consistent, then they end up feeling like that's what's causing them from not reaching their weight loss goal. Or maybe they reach their goal, but then they gain the weight back. And so I think that, one of the common reasons this happen is because it is a form of self-sabotage. And so everything that I've been sharing in this series, I just want to let you know that it's not like just this like random theory or ideas, but really it was based first on my own experience. So when I was, doing my diet roller coaster days, I noticed that I had these like certain patterns of self-sabotage and I couldn't quite figure it out. So I had to figure out how to deal with that. But then after I figured that out for myself, I started working with all these women in the Emerge program and talking with lots of women about their health and weight loss goals. And I saw that what happened for me was happening for them over and over again. And so that's why I wanted to do this series, just to kind of bring to light some of the common reasons why maybe you're not as consistent as you would like to be. So if we haven't met yet, real quick, I'm Christina Johnson. I'm a transformational nutrition coach. I'm the founder of the Emerge Weight Loss Method, which is the program that I've developed to help women create a sustainable, clean and mindful eating lifestyle that they can maintain long term so that they lose weight and keep it off and improve their health and have a really good relationship with food. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic, which is the third cause of self-sabotage. And so if you're here watching live, I would love for you to say hi so that I can see you. And if you're watching on the replay, you can just type #replay and let me know you're watching. And I have my comments on my computer here so that I can chat with those of you that are live. Okay, so the third cause of self-sabotage is not paying attention to our physical and emotional hunger. And so I'll get in just a second to how this leads to self-sabotage, but I want to just briefly explain the difference between physical and emotional hunger. And if you've been following me for a while, you might have heard me talk about this before, but I think it always is helpful to hear it a second and third and fourth time. So we have physical hunger, and physical hunger is the hunger that you experience when you haven't eaten in a while. Your body's low on energy and you actually need to eat. You need the calories and the energy from food for your body to do all of the functions that it does every day. And so if you're feeling physically hungry, you can usually notice, there's like that emptiness in your stomach. Maybe your stomach's growling. Maybe you notice it elsewhere. Some people notice hunger in their throat or their chest. But there is that sign that you just feel physically hungry. So that's the one type of hunger. But then the other type of hunger is emotional hunger. And this is all the times where you want to eat, but you're not actually hungry. So maybe it's the times where you just want a little something sweet after dinner. Maybe it's the times where you've had a hard day, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, and you just want to eat to feel better. It could be a whole variety of things that are causing emotional hunger. Oh, Don says, yes, I'm glad that you caught me live. You're never hungry, only emotionally eating. Yes, and okay, that's such a great point, Don, because what happens then is when we're eating for emotional reasons often, we don't let ourselves get to the point of being physically hungry. I mean, can anyone else relate to that? And so that is what happens. Like we're mindlessly eating throughout the day. We're eating for emotional reasons, and we just never get to the point of being hungry. And so here's the problem with this. Let's look at physical hunger first and how that leads to self-sabotage, and then we'll look more at the emotional one. I think when it comes to physical hunger, think about the diets you've been on. Isn't it usually a good sign when you're hungry? Like we almost think, I have to be hungry in order to lose weight. And most diets are so focused on restriction, eating less calories, less carbs, less grams of fat, whatever it is based on the diet you're on. But it's so focused on eating less. And then we end up feeling hungry. And so, you're trying to eat healthy, but all day long, you're thinking about food because you're hungry, you're having cravings, you're wanting all of the tempting foods that you're not supposed to have on that diet. And it is really, really hard to eat healthy consistently if you're feeling hungry, if you're dealing with cravings. And ultimately what's going on there is that your hunger hormones are not balanced, your blood sugar is not balanced, and so you will think about food more often. You will feel hungrier, and it will feel so much more difficult to eat healthy consistently. And so physical hunger is a big source of self-sabotage because when you're not full and satisfied, you're going to want to eat more. And oftentimes it turns out to be, the junk food, the foods with sugar and salt and all the things that aren't going to support our weight loss goal. So let me know, anyone relate to that? And maybe even just type physical hunger in the comments if you can ever relate to kind of sabotaging yourself because you're so hungry. Just a quick example of this happened to me, it was probably a month, maybe 2 months ago. It was the middle of the afternoon, or maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I was working. And I can't remember, I was working on some project. And, I was all consumed in it, and I had just been working for hours on this project. And all of a sudden, I had this thought pop in my mind that, I really want some kind of baked good or treat. And that's not something that I crave very often at all anymore. And so it was just interesting. And so my mind was like, what could I make? What could I have that would, give me that baked treat kind of feel, and that would satisfy this craving. And so I just kind of stopped myself for a moment. I'm like, what is going on here? Why, all of a sudden, am I wanting to go make some cookies or something? And I realized that I had been so focused on work that I had worked right through lunch, and I never had lunch. And so I think what was going on is my body was hungry. Once I stopped and noticed, I was feeling physically hungry, but I kind of was so focused on other things that I ignored that hunger signal. But so my brain really tried to get my attention with, some other more tempting foods. And so what I did was I stopped working. I went and had the lunch that I already had ready to go for the week. I ate that balanced lunch, and I didn't need cookies anymore. That craving just went away. And I think so often we just misinterpret the signals our body's giving us. So often, just in that situation, my body was telling me I needed to go eat some protein and some fiber and a good healthy meal. My body needed that. And I ignored that signal, and I focused instead on thinking that I needed some sweets or some baked good. And so I think so often we just misinterpret what our body is trying to tell us. And so that's one huge way how when we are physically hungry, it'll feel like we're sabotaging ourselves. But it's just because our body is trying to get what it needs. Our body needs food, it needs fuel, it needs protein and fat and fiber. And so then our brain just kind of confuses it. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, how the physical hunger part can be an issue. Let's go on to emotional hunger, because this is another big one. And there are so many examples of how emotional hunger leads to self-sabotage. And part of the issue is that when you're on a diet, I think almost every diet that I personally went on and that I know of, they don't teach you about hunger. They don't teach you about, emotional hunger in particular. And so what happens is you go on a diet, you stuff down all the cravings that you have. And, because when we start a diet, we're motivated, we're optimistic, we have more willpower and commitment, and we can like push through a lot of the feelings and everything going on. But then eventually you start to realize, like, why am I sabotaging myself with the bowl of ice cream every day? Why am I sabotaging myself with, by going back to the candy dish that's at work? And what happens is that, we're doing fine for a while, but then life gets in the way, right? Like, maybe you had a really stressful, like, project at work. Maybe you had a fight with your spouse, or a hard day with the kids, or any number of things. You're feeling sad or lonely. So all these emotions come back up, and the diet hasn't really prepared us. Like, how do we eat well when we're also having stress and fear and worry and anxiety and happy emotions too? I mean, how many of us also like to eat when we're happy and to celebrate? Like, we like to eat for all the emotions. And so what happens is, like, we have this go-to response. It's almost like it's an automated response where we feel an emotion. We feel stressed, tired, bored, lonely, sad, and we immediately want to turn to food to help us feel better, to feel comforted, to feel less stressed, to feel less lonely, to feel more happiness, more fun. And it's such a quick thing where we have this feeling and then immediately we want to eat. Like, can anyone relate to that at all? Just even type me in the comments if you can relate to that. Like, eating for lots of emotions, good and bad. And so again, like, the problem is that diets are completely missing this whole aspect of food. If it were so simple to just have a plan, like, here, this is your meal plan, follow it for the week. If it was that easy, we wouldn't have so many people struggling with their weight and with eating healthy. Because the problem is, we do have all these patterns with food, these habits. We have a relationship with food, and we want to eat for emotional reasons. And that gets in our way. And so oftentimes, I think this is a huge cause of self-sabotage, is just the emotional part. And in all honesty, so when I'm working with women in the Emerge Weight Loss Program, they will, they'll often tell me at the beginning that, they don't really think they're an emotional eater. It's not a big issue. They just, need to be more disciplined. They need more willpower. They need to just have more knowledge about what it takes. And then fast forward 3 months by the end of the program, and they are telling me, I had no idea how much emotional eating I was doing. And so it is such a common issue, I would say, for most people who are struggling with their weight. And so I think the other thing, as I'm wrapping up here, so we have the physical hunger, which can cause us to self-sabotage. We have emotional hunger, which can cause us to self-sabotage. And I think just one thing to be aware of, like, the next time that you're wanting to eat healthy and to lose weight, is that probably you have been conditioned to believe by all the diets you've been on before that you need to listen to a diet, to an expert more than your own body. And here's what I mean by this. So often you go on a plan like Weight Watchers, keto, low carb, intermittent fasting, and that diet, that plan will tell you when to eat. They tell you, oh, you need to eat 5 times a day, or you should only eat 3 times a day. You need to stop eating by 7. That diet might tell you how much to eat, how many calories, how many grams of carbs. And so what the message that we're getting is that there's some diet or plan that knows better than your own body. And so what we do is we tend to stop listening to our hunger signals. We don't think we can trust our hunger signals and the messages that our body's giving us. And so we kind of stuff that aside. We ignore, everything that our body is telling us, and instead we follow all these diet rules. And as a result, we end up self-sabotaging because the diet rules aren't right for you and your body. Because your body, I think that so often cravings, hunger, extra weight, physical symptoms, those are all your body's way of communicating something to you. It's just trying to send you a message. Just like that day that I was working and I was craving a baked good, my body was really just trying to tell me I needed to eat. But I was ignoring it. And so part of the process, part of what we do in Emerge is we want to balance your hunger hormones, balance your blood sugar so that you can, your body is sending you the proper signals. And then I want to teach you how to listen to those signals, how to trust what your body is telling you. Because when you listen to your body and eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, then you don't need to count every calorie and track every bit of food you put into your mouth. And so there's just so much freedom that comes from that when you're not following somebody else's diet rules, but you get to figure out like what is best for you and your body. And it works so much better, and you can notice the self-sabotage and correct it before it gets too far out of control. And as a result, you're able to lose weight in a more sustainable way and have the tools to maintain that. So hopefully this series on self-sabotage has been helpful for you. If you are feeling ready to do the deeper work, to figure out how to eat, to balance your hunger hormones and blood sugar, and then learn how to have that better relationship with food, then the next step would be to book a complimentary lose weight and keep it off consultation with me. And so during that call, we'll just talk more. It'll be a phone call between you and I, where I will learn more about what your goals are. We'll talk about what's stopping you from reaching them, and really just help figure out what the best path forward is for you. And if I feel like I can help you and that the Emerge program would be a great fit, we can talk about that at the end as well. So I would love to talk with you more personally about your health and weight loss goals and help you come up with a plan that will lead to sustainable weight loss. So I am so grateful that you have watched this video and this series with me. I would love to hear in the comments like what has stood out to you the most from this topic of self-sabotage. What was the biggest insight or aha that you got? I would love to hear that. And then I will put a link in the comments to book that complimentary call with me if you're ready to talk about next steps. All right. Again, thank you for being here, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.